Hi, Vince.
Hey, Scott.
How's your AI note taker doing? Thing's pretty cool.
Yeah, it does a pretty good job.
When we
I've
had our
actually,
meetings, and I read like the synopsis. I said that's pretty damn good. That happens automatically. That
yeah.
it's pretty.
There's a couple actually, two of them. I've got that Fathom one, and that does a really good job of both a summary, although it's a bit short the summary, but nevertheless it does a pretty good job, and it does a transcript of the video as well. And the transcript and the video itself are linked together. So if you do a search for somebody in the transcript when they're talking, if you click on that, then it'll take you to that spot in the video and you can watch it as well as read it. It's pretty
That's
clever.
awesome.
But
That's awesome.
I just thought I'll try the Zoom AI note taker as well. It just comes as part of the subscription I've got with Zoom. And I've done one of them. I wasn't that impressed with that. It was a bit sketchy, but it was a funny meeting anyway, so it was a little bit hard. I'll give it another go and see what it comes up with. But then I've got the choice of two. But I'm going to try and include them with the videos when I send the recordings out. I'll try and put that, or I'll do something with it. It might make them a bit long. That's all. Uh, but anyway, we'll see. But yeah, a couple of
Do you
people
have
have
like
mentioned
another?
it. Go on.
Do you have like a website or something? Or are you working? Do you like another?
Yeah, I have a website. Yeah. It's
Do I
it's
already know about it, or is it something?
well, if you get that mail out, it's on that. But obviously, people don't read down the list; they just see the same thing every week. When I send out the link for the three recordings, are you on that list?
Yeah. So all I got to do is carefully read the email. I got it.
Yeah, down lower, there's a link to the website. Um,
Gotcha.
it's simple. It's just the number one, NESS, oneness.info.
I got one of your emails up here. Oh, this is a different one. I saved this emails to just link to the meeting, but this must not be a full email.
It might be truncated, yeah. Just open up a browser and type in oneness.info on the heading and you'll get the website. Um, I mean, I'm still working on it. It's got it needs a lot of polishing, and I've also got taken the content of the website and I'm putting it together as a PDF and a ebook, and I might even publish the ebook with Apple Books or Amazon. Just see what happens. And then I've just been thinking, because I've started to do stuff on this Substack, I'm thinking maybe I should do some readings off the website or out of the book as well. But
Did
who
you say
knows?
oneness.info?
Yes.
Because I've got like a foreign. Oh, wait a minute, German English.
No, they shouldn't have it. There's no German in it. So just the number one,
Ah, that's why.
NESS. Yeah.
Well, if you write a book, then I can translate it to German if you like.
Oh, okay. Now, that's a good thought. Yeah. 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 Excellent. Well, I have to pull my finger out and get stuck into it. It just needs a lot of polishing, and a lot of the exercises that I've taken from LU, they need more explanation and so on as well. So, but I
Yeah,
guess
it's my hobby. I enjoy doing it. So I'm
right.
really
Okay.
into translation and languages and stuff. So
Excellent.
I always
Okay.
do my own translations and publish them as a book for myself because um, that way you get deeper into the text and
Yeah. 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 Yeah, what a good idea. Yeah, I just feel like I just want a lot of the people that I'm working with to get to the point where they can go out and do this stuff themselves. There's just a huge, an insatiable demand for it, and not enough people doing it, and a lot of stupidity out there as well. So it needs to be something really basic, straight talking kind of stuff. Yeah, that's my thought anyway. Hmm. So you logged on an hour ago, Irene. iPhone. Isabel, I've forgotten your name. Tell me your name, iPhone.
I don't know. I
Yes, your name. What's your name?
talking about.
Uh, unmute. Sorry, I muted you. Okay.
Yes. Can
Your
you hear me
what?
now?
Yes,
Hello, Vince. I'm Sylvia from Switzerland.
Sylvia. Right. Okay. Of course, I knew it. Yeah. I'll just
It
change
will
your
be
name
my.
from iPhone to Sylvia so we know who we're talking to.
Yes, I don't know. I'm not really good at these things. I will try.
Yeah, I've done it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I think it will be my last chat for a while with you, because in 3 days I'm taking off
To
for
Argentina.
taking off to Colombia, not
Cool.
to Argentina.
Okay. Yeah.
So I might be able to connect from there, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. Oh well. Will you have internet over there?
In some places, I will have internet. In some others, no. In the mountain, there is not much internet, and in the Amazon, only in the cities. But in the forest,
Yeah.
there is nothing.
Okay. This might be a little arrogant of me. I don't know. But on that email that I send out with the recordings each time. Oh, actually, I didn't. Suddenly realised because I've been using Substack, I haven't been putting the rest of the stuff. If you've got an earlier email where I sent out the emails with the 3 recordings each week, down the bottom
Yes.
of those, where you can download an ebook or a PDF of the website, which is all the stuff that we're talking about anyway. If you want, you can read that offline if you were interested in doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I will have a look at that link.
I'll put a link in the chat in a moment. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. It's a PDF, and here's the link to it. Hi, Lou.
Oh, yes, I'm seeing it.
Yeah. So that will open up a web page, and you just go save page. Go up to File, Save, and save it, and you'll have it on your computer then, or on your phone, or on your whatever you use. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
If I get my act together, I should make an audio book out of it for people to listen to. But
Wow.
I haven't done that
Which
yet.
is
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm. So how's things going for you, Scott?
Oops. I'm looking at your website. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. All right. You listen, when I ask that, you can always say, look, come back to me later, or I don't want to talk tonight, or anything like that. No worries, Yeah.
I was cheating. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Still doing just reminding myself that everything is just absolutely, as it should be. And that's
Well, here's a
really big.
trick. When you say that, see, this is what I do. I respond to stuff. So when you remind yourself, I want the thought to come up that it's not a mental job to remind yourself. You think it's your mind telling your mind to do something in the future when you remind yourself. Right? So you say, remember to do that. Well, you remember stuff or you don't by accident almost. It's random. So how you remember anything is to incorporate a gesture with it. So when you say, remember to do this, do something with your finger, anything. Poke yourself in the head, whatever. Doesn't matter what you do. Add a gesture to it. And if you use the same gesture each time, what you'll find is that the remembering will happen more frequently. But remember, it's got to be. So here I am saying, remember, it's got to be a body thing, not a head thing. So when you say remember, if you think of what it is you're trying to remember and put it somewhere in your body, right? So the first thing you could do is you could go the other way around and you could look for a sensation. But if no sensation stands out, put it in a body pocket. Put it on your left bicep or in your neck or on your chest or something. Touch yourself, but put that thing you're trying to remember into your body so that it's not just a mental process that goes on. These are just little tricks that make it more than a mental thing.
I
You
like
can
it.
tell yourself stuff 1,000 times and nothing happens. You got to make it more than just telling yourself.
That's going to be great because I'll put it right into my heart because it's such a nice feeling. It's just wonderful. It just makes me warm all over. I'll just put it right in my heart and put my hand right here every
Great.
time. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like it.
that works well. Good stuff. Yeah.
I like it. Thank you. What else was
So I interrupted you when I came on with that. You were saying that you've been trying to remember to stay zen, like, eh?
Yeah, I just normally I guess the thing that trips the circuit to make it happen is if I start to have a slight feeling of tension or
Yep,
discomfort, that
yep,
will usually
perfect.
push me over the top, and then I'll go, "Oh, that's right. Everything is just exactly as it should be." And then,
Okay, now here we go. So here's another interruption from me. We don't want that to just finish it, to fix it. We don't want when you say, oh, okay, I remember everything is as it should be, and then you feel good. That's not what we want. No, bring it back. Bring back that bit of tension. We want to make use of that tension while it's there before it ends. So the reason that it's going to end is because there's no reason for it to be there, not because we tell it to go away or that it's not appropriate. Right? It's never about what comes up. It is always about what triggers it to come up. Right? So it's not about the tension. That's your friend. He's telling you something. What it's about is, why did the tension appear? And then you got to go, why? Oh, did I just say why? what is happening in this body? What is happening is the correct, is the doorway into the why. But you can't chase the why. You can only open the doorway of what, and maybe if you invite nicely, why might reveal itself. But it's not necessary for this process. It's just a little extra side benefit, a side dish, if you like, the why. But what, right? What is going on? So that tension, that tension, right, that's what's happening. Where's that tension? Oh, it's in my chest. What does it feel like? Oh, it feels like, hang on, don't use labels. Let's get down underneath those labels. Oh, there's that feeling. It's, oh, oh, oh. And it's, right, get into the feeling. And that's the doorway down to what triggered that bit of tension to come up. By the time you get there, the tension will be gone anyway. You didn't have to tell it to go away. You didn't have to say it's not appropriate or awake people don't feel tension. It's your friend. But yes, that you've got the trigger right. That's brilliant. Yeah.
So I've been doing two different things like that, and then like when I feel a disturbance, like, and I recognize the thought that brought it on, I just kind of like move through the thought and go to the feeling, and then I was getting stuck just being on the feeling and waiting for it to go away, and then I kind of felt like I was trying to suppress it, I think.
Yeah.
So
Waiting for
now,
it to go away. See, you're facing the wrong direction. Waiting for it to go away has got you back to what's going on. Right. What you want to do is you want to say, come on, baby, show me what you've got. Give me everything. Give me the details. What's going on? What does it feel like? So you're not worried. You don't want it to end. You want to make use of it while it's there. And then it will be unnecessary and it will end, but that's almost beside the point.
so like I've been using the question like, what is it about me that brings this sensation up? What is it about me
Yeah,
that,
okay. Yeah, bit of judgment in
you
that
know,
one too, eh?
or
Bit of a
what is?
story about shouldn't be like that. Am I jumping the gun? Am I going too far?
I don't know. I'm just like, it's like part of the inquiry, like trying to deconstruct it to like what part of my conditioning,
Yeah. Too much head
is that.
stuff.
How do you like deconstruct without asking those questions? I'm not sure.
Yeah. You don't need to deconstruct. What you need to do is simply look at it. Look at it. Invite it closer. Say to it, be my friend and tell me what's happening.
Ask it if it's got something for me.
Yeah, even that's chasing it a bit too hard. Just saying, let me get to know you. And then in a side whisper is, and maybe I'll find out. But it's not your prime thing. Your prime thing is get friendly enough with it that it can reveal itself. It can respond to an invitation from you to show details, the subtlety of those details as well. See, our habit is always, we've got to fix it. We've got to do something.
Right.
And then this is training the opposite direction.
Well, it seems to be working pretty good. So I'm up for all suggestions. I'm doing. This
Yeah.
really feels good. Feels good.
Yeah, well, it gets you down to deeper levels. See, this is a great adventure because you can always go deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah, and take me with you.
When I start asking those questions, it seems like everything seems to be like loosely or directly related to feeling less than, like
Yeah.
there's other things like financial insecurity and wanting approval, but they all seem to be somehow netted into that one, I am not valuable enough, or I am not good enough, or something like that.
Yeah. And they probably are all, it's amazing our some people call it our toxic starting point. It becomes the foundation for a huge range of things because we just spend a lifetime of evolution in getting better and better at avoiding. And we're so good at avoiding, and we've got a million tricks up our sleeve to do that. We're from thinking things to doing things and all sorts of things in between. Yeah. So yeah. So
One of the
with that, you
Go
going?
ahead. No, go ahead.
All right. See what you've got there is, whether you realise it or not, you've just kind of dived in the deep end. You've gone pretty much straight to that. You've had the realisation that pretty well everything rests on that. All right? Now, so what do you do with that? Oh, well, I want to cut my tongue off for saying "do" with that, but what
Right.
how do you do? Okay, let's pretend we can do stuff. What do you do with what you know there, that it all rests on that I'm not good enough?
The
Well, not
only
that.
the,
Yeah, go on.
what comes to me is like, it seems like this, like realizing that it is as it is, and it is what it's supposed to be. That seemed to like seal it for me.
Yeah. Okay, but
You know what I
that's
mean?
the adult talking. That's the adult talking. What about where's little Scotty that first learned that he wasn't good enough? Can you use those? Can you use that argument with him? Can you use that explanation or that description with little Scotty? That's a bit esoteric for him to say it is.
Yeah, I
It
don't
should
think
be.
he can do it. Like
No.
what I've been doing, when I do my breathing in the morning, like I usually will take little Scotty and we go back and talk to my parents, and sometimes I'll just tell the little Scotty, like, give him support. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll stick up for him with my parents and tell him, look, this is what you did
Yeah.
wasn't right.
Right. Yeah.
This is what he's trying to tell you. So I do go back and do that kind of stuff. And actually,
Right.
I just
Yeah.
got some therapy. I've been doing EMDR, trying to clear some memories that I can
Mm.
see, where like there's certain things I can certain events that happen in my life, then I can like take that event and overlay it on my current life and see specifically
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah.
behavior from that.
Okay, you're
Even
doing
things
it,
like,
man. You're doing it. You're doing it beautifully. Now, so, w- what's not happening that you're still feeling this stuff? You haven't got through to him. Are you? What's your real? What? How do you feel towards him? How does he feel towards you?
little Scotty,
Yeah.
we love each other, man. We hang out. He sits
You,
in my lap all the time.
yeah. Good
Like I
friends. Yeah.
Yeah, we help
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
He
Does
gives
he?
me all the love that I didn't get when I was a kid. He hugs me
Yeah.
big time.
Great. Okay. So you should be all right. So what comes to mind is that you're not going to lose him, so don't even think that for a moment. However, what we need to do is we need to integrate him into you. We need to not keep him separate, right? As much as he's a good mate, that's pretty. You're not going to lose that stuff, except that you'll get to the point where you won't need to talk to him as much as you'll just need to think something and he'll know. But we've got to integrate him into you. maybe it's because he's too separate at this stage. It sounds like you've got a great relationship with him, and you're able to, you're really exploring this kind of stuff. But as a result of that, I would expect that this is something that you're going to lose touch with, this feeling of not being good enough. Right, so somehow or other we're hanging on to it. What's happening that we're hanging on to it? Is it an identity? Have you got an identity with it?
Yes, and a belief that it's not okay.
Okay.
I think that's what fuels it. A belief.
Okay, so we need a wiser Scotty. So you're you. It sounds a bit like when you go back and get your pals with him that you're getting younger too, and so you're not really taken back. You're not. You're meant to be showing him, explaining him, transmitting to him, if you like, that feeling that he's got of not being okay. It's not intrinsic in him. He didn't get born with that. He learned that because of external circumstances. Now you've got to get that message through to him.
I haven't actually sat down and talked to him. I've basically gone with him into those scenes.
Okay. So then let's do that. Now remember, you can't talk to him like what you're doing is you're bringing adult wisdom to him, but you can't talk to him like an adult because that alienates him. You've got to kind of transmit this information via feelings. That love that you got for him. That's a way of, and you can load that love up with information and transmit it to him. And the information is, man, there is nothing wrong with you. That is just the way you've been trained. You were brainwashed into that because of circumstances. Nobody's to blame. You don't need to feel bad about the fact that that's what you understood or came to believe. Right? It's just a fact of life. There it is. Right. So your job is to transmit to him, and of course that's good if you're pally with him and you've got a bit of a back and forward with him and so on, and you can explore all these things, but don't get hung up on exploring these things. Knowing what the details of them are is not necessary. What we've simply got to do is change that guilt that he's got, that he felt about it being his fault. It wasn't his fault. He was just an innocent that was brainwashed by other innocents who didn't know any better.
Yeah, that feeling's coming up a lot from the work I've been doing. It's been, I don't know. It feels like changes are happening. I feel good, really. I don't know.
Yep, yeah. Well, let's keep it going with that. Momentum is good.
So I'll talk to him. That's great. I haven't done that. That's totally new too. Like I've kind of gone into the scene and rewrote the scene or explained it, gave him explanations or stood up for him to my parents. But I haven't actually had to talk to him. I'll do it that way.
Yeah. Well, what you've been doing is all really good stuff because you've developed a good relationship there, and so, being friends, you can talk really straightforward. But remember, it's the feeling in what you say that's where the real information is, not in the actual meaning of the words.
I know exactly how I'm going to do it. It's great. I appreciate it.
Right. Good stuff.
And all has to do with the center, like the emotion body. It's
Yeah, when it's so when it happens, you'll just start to forget all about that stuff. You'll remember that you felt like you were not good enough, but you won't remember what it felt like. You'll lose that memory. It'll just be gone. Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
How have you been, Carsten?
I've been, it's very hard to say. In one way, very, well, I feel I see more. I feel hope, feel optimistic and hope like I'm going in the right direction. And well, as I listen to you two now, then, and some part is like totally, he don't know, he can't claim to, he doesn't know anything. But the one part, I guess before it was more a pessimistic feeling that things this depressed or pessimistic. Now there's a part of me who feels well, as you did this talk with Scott, I could feel myself doing the same with me as Scott did, or I was doing the same with my child. Well, when I was so there's some part of me who feels I'm going very right in the right direction, like no, like, but then I sometimes sink into this fear of in the mind. It's like you don't know anything, but then I sink into the sensation, and in the sensation, the seeing, there's not really knowing anything or not knowing anything. Those are like up in the mind. And I guess there's no fear. Yeah, so it's a little split. And what I've been with my girlfriend, I've been looking at intimacy, fear of intimacy, distrust, trust and distrust, intimacy, and the need the need for me that other friends or my girlfriend, others gonna give me positive, that I'm worthy, that nothing is wrong with me, and seeing that need it's coming from the pain of me not liking myself or saying there's something wrong with myself. So that pain of me feeling there was something wrong with myself, I put out towards the world, and wanting that acceptance. And so that I've seen pretty close, and then I feel optimistic when I go back to just okay, looking at that, and you can say betrayal, or not betrayal, but with myself, that I accepted that there's something wrong with me. The work, yeah. So looking at that, so there's I think there's many things going on, and there's so many things going on, and so it's kind of hard to say exactly where I am, but I'm at the cabin now. I didn't know if there was connection there, but I'm very happy I got to join the meeting and feel that can be very good for me. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, only not much came up for me as you were talking, but one thing did, and that is that we get trained to think that we carry one thing or another thing. It's a binary, black and white, one or a zero, that we can't love and dislike, or love and hate at the same time. We can carry conflicting things in us quite easily.
Mm.
And if we recognize that, then we don't start chasing one or the other, trying to choose one or the other when they're both part of us. And if we force ourselves to try and choose one or the other, it's not good. We have to abandon part of ourselves to accept the other part. and it's no good. So yeah, recognize that. Yeah, we can have. So there's no such thing really as chaos. We can feel chaotic, but chaos is always there's sensibility to it. Yeah. So if you recognise that you can carry these seemingly contradictory things at the same time, you can be a lot more relaxed about stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah. There was some images coming up as we were talking, or you were talking earlier now, that when I was a kid, there was this sense of, well, seeing pain in others, in my parents, or pain in me, and this feeling that, I should understand the world. I should know. There was things I should know, and I didn't know how to know them. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah.
as I started knowing things, it was like this feeling of like a little, I'm pretending. I'm just lying. I'm just pretending to know. But then, doing it anyway, and then getting how the mind starts to, and then getting lost. There was this. There's
Yeah,
this
yeah,
feeling of
yeah.
there was something wrong with me because I didn't understand and I should understand.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then a feeling of guilt, or like being a little pony, or when I pretended to know, but then after a while I
Yeah,
didn't pretend to know anymore. I believed I knew. So I could kind of feel that transition as a kid from not
yeah,
knowing
yeah,
to
yeah. I get it. I
knowing.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really interesting. The way you put that is almost the inverse of my experience, where I seem to recognise that everybody else would say one thing but behave a different way, that they were fake, that they were pretending and not real in social situations, and then they got to be quite real when they were at home again privately. You know what I mean? So there was that
Yeah.
contradiction, that dishonesty. It was not. It
Yeah.
was, yeah. So I saw that in the world, and that really gave me I had a hard time with that. Like I felt like I was different. Whereas when you did say it, you're the one that's got the conflict inside you, not the rest of the world. Did the rest of the world seem to be okay with what they knew and didn't know?
Well, I did see, like you said, that conflict and the pain, and that it was, but I felt that, what did I feel? I don't know now. I got a little lost. Like, I did recognize what you said, but that I was supposed to understand it. There was things I was supposed to understand or be capable of, I couldn't do. But I did feel confused about the grown-up world and what I saw. Yeah, it's not very clear. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, we forget a lot of that stuff because it's so painful. We avoid it too. We start running away from it, and we learn how to do that. Yeah. But yeah, but you see, the same result as what I was saying. For those who saw the rest of the world as fake, they start to feel like an outsider and not belonging. And you kind of got to that way by the other way around. You felt that you were the one with the problem. You took it into yourself. Yeah. Um, and I suspect, I guess, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm guessing that you felt fake because you adopted the rest of the world's way of doing things, and that was fake. And it was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, see, I didn't try and be normal until I was a teenager. Up till then, I was
Yeah.
quite happy to be weird, but when I tried to be normal, I couldn't cop the fakeness of it. That's what seemed to be a bit of the biggest problem for me. Was I had to keep pretending to be something that I wasn't, to be normal, and I couldn't cope with that. So I felt like the weird one out in that sense. But you took that fakeness into yourself, but that was dissonance for you. You were not comfortable with it, were you?
No, and there was parts of me I didn't like. I remember hit when I felt hurt, I used to hit my hand in the wall and saying to myself, something is wrong with you. You're too weak. You're feeling too much. You shouldn't feel this much. You should not feel this pain. You know, but you have to do it on your own. There was like these things happened when I was like 8 or 7, or yeah,
Yeah,
like
and have to
hurting
do it on
myself.
your own says a lot, doesn't it? To think you have
Yeah,
to do it on your own puts you in isolation.
yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, have to do it on your own, but then going to socialization at 11, 12, feeling that you cannot be expelled from the group. You have to stay in the group no matter what. This is the way to
It's
survive.
it's survival there. Yeah.
But you still have to do it on your own because you can't trust the group. It's like something like that, distrust, but also having
Mm.
to be in it. So tension in that, feeling fake, but then
Yeah.
survive, have to stay in. Yeah.
Just imagine the stress of having to be fake in order to stay in the group that you felt you really weren't part of. You
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, you wanted to be normal. Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah, trying to be normal. Yeah,
And that goes back to the feeling that there was something wrong with me. So the first distrust, you could say, was that I didn't want to look at, was me saying to myself there's something wrong with me. And then that's losing yourself that way, and then trying to survive with the group instead, giving me that which I didn't, because I had it in me when I was young. I was pretty confident and capable, and enjoyed life and explored, and wasn't I was very happy, and felt very nice about exploring forest or doing things, losing myself in the world, like being in
yeah,
the
yeah.
world and not having the separation. So
Were you usually by yourself?
no, then yeah, sometimes with myself, but sometimes also with friends, doing stuff like, yeah, didn't have so much of this. I didn't have much of this self-judgment up until maybe not so much at 7, 8, but then as socialization started, it came a lot. And I
Yeah,
guess, so there was some, yeah. So I think I'm going the backward step like these last years to, I have to feel these feelings again, going backward again, kind of through my life, and feeling those suppressed.
yeah. Let's reframe that one though. Let's see. I, it's not possible for you to go backwards. I do get what you're saying, right? But it's the old stuff coming forward into the present is much more accurate than to say, oh, you're going back into
Yeah,
where it was. Right, yeah. I mean, it is certainly stuck in the past, and it's something we need to heal. But yeah, it's coming because you're looking at this stuff, and because of circumstances, let's just say, um, it's presenting itself to you, and so can feel like the old stuff, but it is offering itself for healing, for you to
yeah,
heal. Yeah. So it's see it as a good thing, and it's the past coming into the present as it shows itself, not you going back to the past.
yeah. That's more how it feels. That's more accurate. Yeah, that's how it feels. It's coming. It's being seen now. Like, yeah,
Yep. And it's offering itself up to be resolved as well.
yeah,
And the crazy thing is that the best approach is like an explorer who's just standing still, looking at the landscape and waiting for whatever pops out of the bush or comes out from behind a tree or whatever. So you're just curious about what will show itself. That's the best attitude of the lot. You don't have to
yeah,
work at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a different. It's been shifting for me lately. That before was more the why, but now it's getting more into the what. Not
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah,
it's more like you say exploring a forest. But it's just the what is here, not as much as why is this. Yeah. So
yes,
this
yes,
is I
yeah,
think that is coming to me.
yeah, yeah. You don't have to go look behind the trees. Whatever's behind the tree will show itself if you stay still and you don't threaten it. You see, by being really still, it'll feel safe and come out and show it. Yeah. I can't wait to hear your latest adventure, Maya.
Hello. Well, I'm I am diligent with my task, and the task is to look at pleasant and unpleasant things more than pleasant things. So I'm really embracing the unpleasant because it's amazing. It's amazing what it brings. And the task was to look at what is the sensation and what are the thoughts, and trying to see that they are separate, that they don't have anything to do with each other. Well, I failed. These 2 days, I didn't get to it. So I need more time and I will work with it. But there were opportunities. So what I didn't manage to see is this separateness of sensations and thoughts. They are still solid for me
Right.
and
Okay.
causal. One
Yeah,
causes
yeah,
the other. So I think I had a glimpse at one moment, but it wasn't enough to push me through it. So,
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
but
So
I
what
mean,
you're looking for is correlation, not
yes,
causation, and
not causation.
and the the skill part, the technique of it, and remember, the attitude is invitation. No, so we're not going in there with a machete, kind of cutting the underbrush down to get there. So as you focus more and more on the subtle details of the sensation, right? So you're looking to get you in the beginning. You'll say, "Oh, it's this kind of sensation, and it's here," and there'll be labels that you'll use, and then you go behind the labels to look at things that are too subtle and too variable and too complex for labels to work. So any words won't work. So you're looking to get to that level of intimacy with the sensation where the only all you can do is experience it without recognizing any particular element of it. So you're going to get closer and closer and closer. And at a certain point, that you'll get to the gap in between the sensation and the thoughts. So you're looking for that doorway that's just cracked ajar, that sliver of light that where you can move in and just you've kind of almost got to levitate and hover at that in that space between the two. Yeah.
I think I found it. I think I found it. I remember you saying this will be easier with subtler emotions, not strong ones,
Yes.
because the
Yeah.
strong ones probably tend to carry you away, and then you're not able to do it. But I had one moment when there was a strong emotion, but I was still able to do it, and it was hilarious. When I'm in the UK, I call my parents twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. And so 2 days ago, I call my mom, and she's very proud, and she says to me, I cleaned your room. With her, cleaning means misplacing things all over the place. We'll never find things.
Yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
And I think to myself, oh, my papers for my work, my medical documentation, everything. She cleaned it, and she's so proud. She's so proud. She says, "I cleaned your room," and I see the sensation start building up, and I'm there. I'm really there. I think, wow, here's the sensation. Here are the thoughts. Here's the sensation. Here are the thoughts. And she repeats it like 5 times. I cleaned your room. Look how clean it's now. And it's just building up, building up. And me thinking, yes, the sensation. Yes, the thoughts. And I'm in the middle. And my husband rolling on the floor because he's listening to all of this, looking at me like, am I start to going fuming or not? So the reaction is not a problem anymore. I'm really there for everything that's going on in me. And I am there in the middle between the sensation and between the thoughts, but it's still together. It's still the same. It's very, I know I had some moments for other things where I know I saw sensation without the thought, and I know I saw thoughts without sensation, but I also still saw thoughts causing the sensation. And I thought I wouldn't have this sensation if it wasn't for the thoughts somehow.
Okay,
So,
yeah, okay. But that's a tricky one. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But the thought that created that sensation is down a level. So we don't want
how
to
do you mean?
we don't want to go down to the what caused the sensation at this stage. What we're
Oh,
trying to do is simply recognize that the sensation is agnostic. Right? The sensation contains no information, and with that recognition, right, that sensation ceases to validate the thought. See, the normal process is that you have this emotion, and with it, what goes on is that you have a thought that links up to a sensation, and the sensation validates the thought, and then the thought validates the sensation, and it's circular, right? And that can
okay.
sometimes spiral off into whole other things. But so what we want to do is we want to break that circle. Simply want to get in between those two. So
Okay.
it's the Goldilocks amount of emotion that you want to do that. If it's too strong an emotion, now I don't know. Anyway, let's just explore this. If it's too strong a sensation, you react. You can't help but react. So you already the impetus is that delusion that the thought and the sensation have got power, and that kind of pushes you. So you're reacting to it. So what we want is we want not so much emotion that we actually get a reaction going. We want just the right amount of emotion. So yes, I mean, so while your mother's saying that and you're feeling it coming up, you're already reacting. You've already gone past the gap,
Uh,
kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah.
right.
I was,
You can use that, and they refer to it as taking it back to the laboratory and doing an
yeah.
experiment on it. So you can use that by simply remembering that situation
Mm.
and then looking to, do you get a little bit of a charge from it? And if you get a little bit of a charge, that's just the right amount. So then you go looking for the sensation. See, so it's not a really strong sensation at this stage. It's just starting to happen. And then you can get in. And now once you recognize that sensation is agnostic, and I mean recognize, remember, um, maybe it presents itself as a discovery. But you want the thing that we're aiming to see is that there's no such thing as want or resistance, want or the opposite of want. You know, what the aversion. right? That they're entirely in the story. But it seems like the sensation, which is our reaction, our response, seems to validate that. And then we get sucked into this idea that they've got power, whereas in fact they're absolutely powerless because they're only concepts.
There is a glimpse now when you're talking about it, but it's just a glimpse.
Yeah.
And I don't know which side it's going, and I don't want to.
Don't preempt it. That's right. Yeah. We're
Yeah,
just
whatever.
curious about what might come. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like easing into it. It's like starting to ride a bicycle. The
Yes.
balance that you get, the sense of balance that you get, and start riding instead of falling one side or the other. I feel like suspended in the air at the moment.
Yeah. And you recognize from riding a bike that it simply takes a little bit of forward momentum in order to take the wobble
Yeah,
out and for things to feel solid. Yeah.
yeah. But at this moment, there's a feeling that there are sensations on one side and thoughts on the other side. They might be disconnected. They might be disconnected.
Mm.
Who knows? Who knows? Let's
Yeah.
see. I will start talking now and I will lose where I am now, but I'll try to come back again then later on. But the whole time, there was a feeling, these few days, there was a feeling that I don't have it. I might have it now, I don't know. I don't have this understanding of separateness of sensations and thoughts, and I have to believe you, and I don't want to believe you. I don't want to
Mm.
believe anything.
No.
Okay, it's irrelevant now. It's irrelevant now. And I'm talking and I'm not believing myself what I'm saying.
Now.
There's this resistance, yeah. There is always this resistance. No, it can't be that.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It is. It is. I mean, it's it's indescribable. It's it seems like it's so far away it can't be grasped until you grasp it, and when you grasp it, you won't go. You'll go, how can I possibly have missed this? It's so simple. Yes, because it's yeah, but it's indescribable. Yeah. I I've asked myself, are we jumping too far ahead? Because this is pretty advanced stuff that we're looking at here. Well, you know, I don't mean to. I'm gonna bite my tongue when I say things like that. But
I
it's
will.
yeah, it's Feta 4-5 stuff that we're looking at, and and all we have to do, you know, I mean, that's perfectly appropriate as long as we're already quite comfortable with the recognition, or we've had the realization that there's no controlling self in actuality anywhere. It's just an illusion that develops over time. So, and that is the case for you, isn't it? You see that?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Okay, okay. So think so is not. I want to hear something more
Not
certain than
enough.
that. Yeah.
Mm, mm.
So if that stuff that you're doing with the gap and the sensation and thought stories, if that's a little difficult, maybe there's something a little bit earlier that we need to still look at. Maybe there's still some remnants. Too much. There'll always be more remnants, but maybe there's too big an accumulation or something we need to clear away first. In
Something
terms of,
that's anchored.
yeah, something, you know. I don't actually think so, but we can look at it, you know, if we need to. So, you know, with when you say you think so, that, you know, do I take that literally? That you know, there's thoughts saying that, but
Yeah.
yeah, you didn't say, "Oh, I feel that's right." You said, "I think so."
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So maybe what we need to do is to shift that from the head into the body, right? From the thinking
Mm-hmm.
into the feeling kind of component, you know. So this is an analogy that I use, and I quite like it because it's really obvious. Let's say you, for some reason or other, you go to the fridge looking for a watermelon, and you open up the fridge and there's no watermelon in there. So you shut the fridge door and you walk away from the fridge, but you still want watermelon. Would you go back to the fridge and open the door and look again? Or would you remember that there was none there and realize that it's pretty pointless to go looking for that watermelon that you know is not in the fridge?
Pointless.
Of course. You wouldn't keep going back and opening the door and looking and looking and looking, you know, because you know. Now, that's kind of different to a belief, isn't it? It's because a belief is like very much a head thing, but it does have associated feelings with it. You know, there's a kind of a feeling of it being right when you've got a belief about something. But this thing, when you've looked in the fridge and there's no watermelon, you shut the door. This is not a belief. This is kind of a knowing, isn't it? That, you know, you're quite satisfied. It's no watermelon in that fridge. So do you need to open the metaphorical fridge and check for a self, or do you know that there's none there when you look? You don't have to look again. Do you just know from previous looking that there's none there?
I know what I should do, but I think I'm still opening the fridge, expecting the watermelon to
Okay,
appear.
yeah, right. Well, in the case of a self, maybe you could do a fantasy interview with every surgeon in the world and see if any of them's ever come across a self when they've been cutting people up.
Okay.
I mean, you know the answer to
Yeah.
that, of course, don't you? You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay. So, but I'm not that comfortable with that process of looking for a self because, you know, maybe it's a really, really cunning self and maybe it's just never been found. It hides and it still exists, eh? Maybe. But what is a self? I mean, let's look at it. What is a self? When we say, "Oh, myself," what do we refer to? We're referring to stories we've got about this meat suit, this body, this being, that whatever it is that we don't know, but we've got thousands and thousands of stories that we've accumulated over our lifetime about Maja, what she looks like, what food she likes, that she wears a mask when she goes on a plane, all of these details. Every one of them's got there's chapters and chapters and chapters of all these things about Maja. And they're only stories, but we respond to them. And that gives us there's that same thing again, that response to, there we go, we've got sensations and stories again. But in this case, the stories are all about Maja. And so we can call that a self, can't we?
But you know what? I already know. I really know all of this. I told you about my understanding that I have no age and I have no
Yeah.
gender. I understood. I know all of it. I know I'm just tourist, but I'm still opening the fridge.
Okay.
Maybe the last
Okay.
last
So
place where I can be.
yeah. Good, good. All right.
Because
So what you're
I'm not
doing
anywhere else.
what you're doing when you open the fridge is you are looking for something. Is that right?
Yes,
Right.
yes,
And if you're looking for something, you've got an idea about what it is you're looking for. You've got an image, not necessarily a visual image, but you've got an image of what you might find, whether you expect to find it or whether you hope to find it or whether you think you won't find it. You've got an image of some kind. So what is
I
your
even
image
have a
of
story.
self?
I even have a story. I mean, this is really this is mean from me. This is mean and clever from me because what I'm expecting to find is something that doesn't have a shape, doesn't have anything. So I'm able to imagine something that has no shape, no volume, anything. But this is my story. This is what I'm going
Yeah.
to find. I'm going
Okay.
to
Yeah.
find something that has no properties.
Yes. Which wouldn't that
But
make
it's
it
a
pretty hard
story
to find?
because it's nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's right.
I'm
Oh, you're looking for
I'm I'm so I'm so
okay. Well,
curious.
seriously, would you is this self? Would you call it a soul?
Sorry.
Would you call this a soul? Is
So
is
hmm.
is there a is there a conflation? I don't know the right word. Is there a merging of a self and a soul? Because what those characteristics you talk about are frequently attributed to a soul, aren't they? You know, they have no
Yeah,
substance.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or an essence, if you like. Let's remove the word soul because that's a bit religious, maybe. If we go to essence, is there an essence that you're
Yes,
looking
yes,
for?
yes.
Mm,
I can say that. I can say that.
okay. So if I accuse you as bluntly as I can to say that the belief, no, well, that the idea, is it a belief? I don't know. Hmm, that's a good one. Um, that the reason that you want to find something is because if there's nothing there, there's no control. So you still want to
Yeah,
control things. And in order to have
yeah.
control, there's got to be something there, even if it's an invisible essence.
Yes. Yes. Back to the same stuff.
Hmm.
Afraid to lose control. Afraid,
And
fear.
so,
That's fear.
yeah, yeah. So with just let's go the control thing and then come back to the fear. But just for the control thing, if you never ever had control, if control is just an idea, it's an illusion, if you like, if because it feels it can present as something real. But if you never ever had control, then of course you're not going to lose control because you never had it. So all you will lose is the belief that you had it. Now that could be a pretty big loss. If I believe that I haven't got control, that will change my world.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be a big change.
It won't change about it. It will not change any happening. Anything that ever happened, if it needs to happen, it will happen still. But the big change to your world will be your relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean self literally. I meant, that metaphorical. Your relationship with Maja or with the meat suit or whatever. Yeah. But fear, of course, relates very much to that hanging on to the idea of having control. Or if the fear will present as something actual, you'll feel fear if your grip on it gets a little slippery. If it seems tenuous, then the fear comes along because it seems like, oh, this really could change.
Mm.
And then we
Mm.
get that fear.
Yeah,
Now,
it's
another
fear
thing that,
from
you're sorry?
the unknown. Fear from the unknown. Fear
Yes.
to go where I don't know what is.
Mm. Which is very much a control issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
know. Yeah. But if we
It's so
entertain the
solid.
idea, sorry?
It's so solid in me, this idea that there has to be a solid kernel, solid middle of me, something solid like
Mm. Okay. So I just had a flash that okay, so let's imagine what I see as actual, but let's just imagine that there is no solid core to you, that you don't actually exist, that all you are is a reflection of circumstances. That's all that you have ever been and all you ever will, and what you are now is just that, a reflection of circumstances. Everything about you, all your thoughts, all your feelings, all your physicality, all your ephemeral, non-physical, they're all a reflection of circumstances. That's kind of like annihilation, isn't it? That's
yes.
yeah. It's really interesting. This is a tricky one for me. I have to remember, sometimes it's really quite difficult. Um, for me, that realization that I am nothing is where the freedom is. That's absolutely hugely releasing. So, and it's invigorating. It's fantastic. I love it. Yeah, and yet other people really fear going there because there's some other idea of it being a black hole or a problem.
Mm. I can just say I believe you, but there's still a belief. Belief is
Yes,
something I don't
yeah,
want to. I
I
don't want
get
to
that.
work with.
Yeah, yeah. You you don't have to do anything, like so you are doing something by well, I mean not not doing something, but okay, but you're here. You see, you're here. You're putting yourself in the position to discover. So you are. So in spite of having that fear, you're also confronting it. You're also something, having a
I
relationship with
want
it.
and I don't. I want and I don't want at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And it gets more
And this
complicated,
has
of
been
course.
going
You're
on
not
for.
only, sorry?
It's going on. It's been going on for 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. can you entertain the fantasy that your whole life has been a series of happenings that were seemingly the result of all of the conditions that were just there at the time, and that none of it was intentional?
I
Any
entertain that.
intentional thing? Yeah.
I hold it for the last few minutes, as you said. Everyone is just a result of circumstances. So for a few minutes, I'm floating in it with the idea.
Yes. If you can entertain that idea, then you can recognize that, you know what, all my life I've expended a huge amount of energy with this idea that I'm in control, and that all my decisions and choices and intentions all led to this. And now I realize that even without any of that intention, any of those choices, apparent choices that I made, without any of that, everything would have still happened exactly the way it did. That all my thoughts about it and all my self-referential thoughts about it were just ancillary. They were just extra to the case, and they weren't necessary, because without them, it all would have happened exactly the same. If you can entertain that idea, you don't have to believe it. No, nobody wants you to adopt a belief. Just entertain that idea. Then what it does is it opens up for you the possibility of discovering something in some very close future, present now moment. And people do it like a common one, people will say to me, I was washing the dishes and I saw these hands doing their thing. These hands were picking up a plate and rubbing it and doing this stuff. And I was just blown away, because there was no me there. It was just a pair of hands in the dish.
For a few years now, every night when I brush my teeth, I'm watching my hands, opening the cabinets, taking the toothpaste, I'm doing this, and I still
Yes.
don't believe. I still don't have it. I have
You,
moments living like that. I have
you,
moments living free, but
you well,
I'm
see,
just not letting
don't worry about it.
myself
Don't worry about
into
it.
it.
See, yeah, this is
The
just
rest
brilliant.
of
I
the
love
day,
it. Yeah.
no, just
Yeah. So
no, no.
because of this conversation, next time you do that, you'll ask yourself, where's the control in this? And you'll go, Jesus, there isn't any. It's not required. And that will just
I know, I've been there.
spread to everything, all over everything.
I've been there. I've been there. I'm there every evening.
Mm.
And the rest of the day, I'm an actor in a theater. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, well, try this as an experiment. It is quite possible for you to be the actor up on the stage and the person in the audience watching it, both at the same
Okay.
time. See
Yeah,
if that happens.
I've observed. I've done that. I've done that. It's like Groundhog Day, like the movie.
Yes, yeah.
I am observing this every evening. So I've been many times in this situation, and I have lived this situation from many different angles, and I do play with it. There is another situation when I do it, when I sit behind the wheel, and when I sit behind the wheel, when I pull the what do you call it?
Seatbelt.
The yeah, the seat belt, and starting up the engine. This is also a moment when I observe myself doing it, and it's done by itself.
Yeah.
And I'm just in this movement. I feel the movement of my hands, but I'm observing it. It's done by itself.
Yep.
It's very pleasant.
Mm.
It's good to be there.
So you can ask yourself, when that's not happening, what's going on that stops that from happening? You're not looking for an answer. You're just contemplating why that's not why. Well, it is kind of why. No, you're not looking for an answer though. You're only asking the question. Why is that not everything? Or is it everything and it just doesn't appear to be the case?
Mm. Mm.
And so it's obvious when you're brushing your teeth or starting your car that there's a perception shift that's taken place. You're seeing things from a different angle than what you normally do. And you're very relaxed in those moments because there's no effort. There's no effort required. It's just, you just watch it. Yeah. And that indeed can be all of life. Not that you're expecting it will have that same kind of transcendental experience. I mean, when that happens, you don't even realize it's happening a lot of the time. But when you realize it's happening, it becomes pretty amazing. And so again, there's a perception shift, isn't there? So when it's just happening and you're not even noticing that it's happening really, or it's nothing special, it's just an experience. It's like it doesn't hold any awe for you. But when you notice it, it goes, oh yeah, look at that. There's those hands doing their thing. Yeah. And it, excuse me, that's a recognition of the recognition more than a recognition of the actual primary experience.
Mm.
So just play with that stuff. Yeah. And don't go to the other stuff at this stage. Let's get that one out of the road first.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think that's probably what's making the other stuff. Once you do this, we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll get there. Going well.
Thank you.
Come on in, Sylvia.
Vince,
Yes.
may I say? I just wanted to say something to Maja.
Yeah, sure.
Maja, you previously said these words. I really want to see that there is no self. At the same time, I don't want, because it scares me, you didn't say, but something about losing control, not having. Then Vince said you cannot lose something that you don't have. Anyway, that same fight between you wanting to see and not wanting to see gives you the impression that there is a self. It's the fight between the two things. I mean, I think this is a possibility, at least. The fight between wanting to see there's no self and not wanting to see doesn't allow you to see that everything is just automatic. So if you might, I was just wondering, if one might just, leave it, just leave the fight, just be open to, whatever outcome, no, not really wanting or not wanting, just, let's have a look. Oh, my battery is going down now. I think I will lose you soon. So try to not to make it a fight, because the fight is the impediment many times. Would you agree to that,
It
Vince?
might help, because there were other things where I was also kind of not letting go, but I was able to let go in the past few weeks. I was more able to let go some things. So this is maybe one of those who are holding the last ones who are still holding. So it might be when I manage to let go of this, that it will be easier. Yes, thanks.
So I tell you this because
Possibly.
in many things I have been conditioned to be a very strong fighter. You know, a fighter, fight for rights, fight to be seen, fight for my children. So this fighter modality is very well known here. And it doesn't bring you anything good usually. Just this.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Yeah,
That was good.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm.
It does have a part. Yeah. It's a part of it for sure. A little puzzle.
Yeah, yeah. There's kind of a subtle opening there as well, to just to recognize that one of the ways that, as Sylvia was saying, one of the ways that it creates a self is that it firms up a place from which you're looking. You know, that it kind of makes solid that a perspective point where you're going, I want and I don't want. So it's like that you're kind of assuming the existence of an I, without even realizing that that's happening, and you kind of you think of the want and the not want, but it's really the I who doesn't want or does want, that kind of is given some credibility by entertaining those things as well.
And there are things I fought for, and yeah, it is a part of my identity to be a fighter, to stand up. I've been in very unpleasant situations because of standing up for something.
Yeah.
And I made it part of my identity, and now I don't want to let that go.
Mm. Well, you can allow it to still be associated to the meat suit. It has nothing to do with the self.
Yeah.
People will see Maja coming and they go, there she is. She's the one that stood up for that. But that's just their perception, isn't it? Standing up for those things would happen anyway. There was no decision really required for that. That just happens.
I don't know. There were moments where it took a lot of courage to
But that's a
show.
story that you can lay on it over it later, right?
Okay.
So when you say it took a lot of courage, what you're telling me is that as you were doing it, you experienced some fear, but you did it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's great that happened, but it didn't take a you to do it anyway. It just there was this thing where there was intention and fear and energy, so stuff that you could experience, I'm trying to say. So the moment we say something like courage, we're off in fantasy land. We're talking about a concept, right? Well, nobody's ever courageous. That's just a joke to think that we have courageous people. That's a way of describing something, right? But those people who are courageous, they would have done it anyway. They didn't do it because they were courageous. They didn't do it for the glory. They did it because that's their nature to do it.
But I would say contemplating these things at this moment complicates a little bit for me the part where we decided that I would entertain the idea that things would have happened anyway. Now thinking about me doing some things where I'm really not sure if I had any free will to do it or they would have happened, this is one step too difficult for me
Okay,
at
yeah.
the moment.
Well, you know yourself, so yeah, go with that
Yeah.
and stay with that, and then yeah, the other, whatever we miss, it'll be back, never a problem.
It will come. It
Yeah.
will come. It is a problem and it will come, but there are things I need to resolve
Yes.
before that.
Yep. Yeah.
If you walk the steps, you have to stand on the first one and then on the second one.
Sometimes this is like running up the escalator that goes down.
Don't say that, please.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sylvia, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, good. Yeah.
Thanks.
How's things for you, Leonard?
Quite fine. Yeah, it's like we don't have so many hours with sunlight, so it's kind of I'm like in a winter sleep mode somehow. So sometimes it feels like going to work and then I come home and I sleep. And actually, at the moment, there's not a lot going on, but I'm kind of comfortable with it.
Yeah, that's all right. Sounds good. Yeah. You have the tools. So, yeah. Good stuff.
Time eventually something will turn up again, but at the moment it's like quite calm.
Yeah. Well, this is where you start looking forward to something coming up.
I don't know. There's not really anything I'm looking forward to at the moment.
How have you been, Lou?
Hi there. I was just about to mute anyway. Yeah, I was just noticing the fluidity of the sensations. That just find you again. As we were talking, I've had quite a very when I talk about the fluidity, like the whole of the last week, just watching that nothing stays the same. Like it just is constantly changing, and part of me doesn't want this bit to be recorded. Actually,
Okay, I can stop
to
it.
record it.
Yeah,
I don't
no
know
worries.
why. Yeah,
Okay,
I don't
that's
know why.
not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just. It seems a shame to deprive somebody of all of that wonderful stuff, but you know, it'll come up again somewhere. Because I'll guarantee you, a heap of people would relate to it. What you said, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, now I've said it, I don't know why I didn't want it recording. So that's interesting.
Yeah, but it's all okay. Yeah, it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vince, I have a question that surfaces from time to time. So when, in feta work, why is it that they don't, So what they do is they reconduct all emotions to fear, anger, guilt, and shame, right? So at least, I don't know, at least this is what Pernilla and Todd do. I'm listening to them. I haven't listened to anyone.
Yeah.
So they say that, like, the primary emotions are fear, anger, guilt, and shame. And so I keep asking myself, how come they don't include pain or sadness, that kind of feeling? Because when I do the exercises, I often have this, I cannot find a name for what I feel. It's just what I feel. But if I were forced to give it a name, I would often say pain, some sort of pain, like the thing that you feel when you lose a loved one, for example. That's not anger, fear, anger, guilt, or shame. That's something they don't include. They don't include in this. How comes, or what would you say, or what would you add to that?
Yeah, well, what comes to mind here, and my understanding of the fetters is probably somewhat limited, but nevertheless, what comes up is that the fear, anger, guilt, and shame is very much early fetter work. It's really comes in fettered 1, 2, and 3 stuff, and that. What I've come to believe about the fetters as I've got more experience with them is that they when we get past those first couple of fetters, we're really just looking at remnants of stuff that's still there. We're looking to clean up remnants of selfing that happens. But when you get into that kind of pain that you're talking about there, that really is not fetter work. That's shadow work. That's something we need to get out of the road before we do the fetter work. So that's much deeper. That's just what comes to mind. I'm not saying it's right or anything. I should listen to more of Pernilla and be more astute, but I seem to not have. I don't know what it is. Something's missing, and I don't tend to listen very much. But it is good stuff. But it's also very, very, very dense. There's in the sense that there's a huge amount of information there. So much stuff going on all the time, and I think that fear, guilt, anger, shame stuff is what I think when Penilla's working with what she calls a toxic starting point. I think that's where that stuff fits. So it's a foundational thing, and it's something like a fundamental belief that we have, and I suspect she's using it also as a way to look at what our modus operandi is, So if we're a passive aggressive, or if we're a overt bully, or a chameleon, I think the other term that she uses, where we want to hide and be invisible. These are ways that we use to cope with the guilt and shame and the fear and anger that sits on top of them. But the actual pain that you're talking about, that's well, it's hard to know without going into the actual experience of it. But yeah.
Yes, I see what you're pointing to. So maybe this pain is not really in relationship to a toxic starting point. It's just, you know, pain, but doesn't tend to make you behave in one way or another. Something like. I think I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. It
So
would still be something that's triggered.
Yeah, these are the 4 basic emotions just in relationship to a toxic starting point.
Yes, yes. So
I see.
they're the things that are behind what we develop to escape.
Of course. Yes, of course. Yes, I see what you mean. Okay, thank you. Clarified.
So they have to do more with selfing. I mean, because you can have emotions without selfing.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yes, Leonard. Thank you. That's it. Yes, that's the answer. Thank you, Vince, also.
I'd like to do that more justice, but I don't quite know how to. What's come up for you, Bianca?
Like Leonard, I'm in sleep mode.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah, we're getting into summer now, and I'm really enjoying the extended daylight. So yeah, so living up in the north where your days get noticeably shorter would be a bit of a trick, I imagine. I wonder how the people who live in perpetual wintertime and not daylight, how they avoid depression. You know, I mean, it's light is so important.
What do you mean no daylight? In summer,
People right up north
get...
in Iceland, don't they have 6 months of semi-darkness and that kind of thing?
But in summer they get too much daylight.
The other way around. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it never gets dark, so they sleep in the daylight. Yeah.
I was listening to your meditation. Now you, then you.
Yes.
And it was interesting because I felt you were very emotional on this recording, and it felt heavy on me.
Say more about heavy. A burden.
Like overbearing.
Oh, okay.
And then I sit on it, and I sat on it, and I thought about my father, unsurprisingly, and but it's hard to explain. But I don't feel like his daughter. I don't feel, I don't feel this. I don't feel father-daughter connection. I don't know. And And I think it's the best to explain by a story. Like, imagine it's like I met a man on the street, and I realized that he has Alzheimer or dementia, and he's a bit lost. And for some reason, he thinks I'm his daughter. And it is very important to him. He's moved to tears that he met his daughter. So I don't want to be harsh with this poor old man who's lost and has dementia and lives in his delusion. So, okay, I will play along.
Yeah, but it's just a play. It's not, yeah.
Yeah. And maybe it can help him, because he will listen to me. We will go to the police. We will find out where he lives, and yeah. If he's my neighbor, I can look after him if he's all right. And he's all the time he thinks I'm his beloved daughter. And it's so important to him.
Yeah.
He's so emotional about it. It's okay. It's not a big deal. I can do it. But in the long run, it's...
Yeah, it can be tiresome.
It's just, I'm not his daughter.
Yeah. And there is no value in the relationship for you. You're just doing it to help him. Yeah. So when he, in his delusion, thinking you're his daughter, when he says, what might he say? He might say, I enjoy spending time with you, as an example. Do you get any good feelings when he says that, or do you dismiss it as part of his delusion and it doesn't touch you?
It doesn't.
No.
No.
Yeah. But you are responding with some compassion when you allow him to have that delusion and you play along for his benefit. This is an act of compassion on your part. So it does touch you.
Yeah.
Just not in a more intimate way, or is that the right word? Yeah.
It's not emotional. It's just what I want to do.
Okay. I don't believe you. It is emotional, but not certainly not expressively emotional. But yeah, there is a distinct feeling component to that compassion that you show him. Yeah.
Well, maybe I just want to say by this that I don't think I'm doing this because I am a compassionate
Yeah, I get that.
person.
Okay, you can't allow that. No, no, that's right. You're
No,
you're just a
I
cold-hearted
understand.
person doing what's right.
Uh, you know, it's like being called a compassionate person is like being called a daughter.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
It's an
Yeah.
identification that you put on me because
Yeah.
it's in your bubble of reality.
That's right.
Fine,
It's
I can
sloppy too,
tolerate
isn't
it.
it? Yeah. You'll do that for me as well, will you? You'll tolerate
Yes.
that. Yes. Yeah. So how do you feel when I say you're just a cold-hearted person doing what's right? That's a lot easier for you to accept, is it?
No.
No. Okay. I'm only
What
playing.
does it
Yeah.
mean? Doing what's right.
Oh, okay. You know, the cold-hearted person is okay, but doing what's right's not, eh?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's also cold-hearted is also not true.
Is what?
Not true.
Not true. No.
Cold-hearted.
Yeah. No, I didn't think for a moment it's true. Well, I think, but sometimes you like to be
Yeah.
seen that way, but it's not actually true.
You just think I like to be seen that way.
I just think that. Yeah, I don't really know anything. Yeah, but yeah. Okay. But I like you, but I shouldn't show you too much because you that makes you uncomfortable, eh?
I'm not sure um, what in this made me uncomfortable.
I don't know. I was asking, does it make you uncomfortable or is not?
Well, something in this meditation.
Yeah. I was too pushy, maybe, to something. What? I mean, I really welcome this feedback because I would love to modify it to make it better if I could.
Just for me? No.
Yeah.
But if it helps 9 other persons and I'm the 10th one that feels uncomfortable, it's so what?
But I am interested in what was there about it that you didn't like, yeah, you felt was that. I would have to say that, you're right about the emotion in it. I guess in a way, it was me. I was doing it for me. I was talking to myself. It was my younger self.
Mm,
But
mm.
I feels like that's there's a commonality in that. That's something that almost every one of us has. I feel, but you're not. You don't feel that. It wasn't relevant for you in that way.
No, no, I am ashamed.
You are what?
I am not about guilt. I am about shame.
Shame. Right. Okay. Well, all right. Okay. Yeah. So that should include shame. That because shame usually sits on top of guilt. Shame is the lesser of the two evils. It's easier to feel shame than it is to feel guilt. It's a movement away from the guilt, or it's a movement, yeah. But yeah. But it wasn't about shame or guilt. And this is maybe I need to make this clearer too. It's about the belief that the young one has that it's something intrinsic in them, something that it is part of them, the reason that happens. So it's really about recognizing that it's not that case, that it's really about them believing that as a result of the conditions at the time, the objective conditions that brought about those feelings, whether it be guilt or shame, doesn't matter. It's owning them, believing that they are responsible for what's gone on. That's why those feelings.
Shame is not about being responsible.
Shame is not. No,
not
no.
about being responsible.
Yeah, I get that. No, it's guilt is about being responsible. Shame is the way to handle the guilt. Yeah. You didn't
I
get
don't
that?
understand.
Right. What in theory, it doesn't have to be an actual, what is feeling shame about? What is it to feel shame? It's about saying something exists that should not be there. And it is still about that something is in me that should not be there.
Or on me.
Yeah.
I always think about a bird pooping on my head.
Yeah.
It's not my responsibility at all.
No.
But shame? Oh.
Yeah. There's no actual reason to feel shame, but we're taught that we should feel shame about that. I mean, you didn't control a bird that did that. You didn't control your positioning when that happened on you. It was nothing to do with you. Everybody's innocent. You are innocent and the bird is innocent. The bird didn't do it on you on purpose. It just happened to hit you. But shame is about...
Well, something is wrong with me.
Yes.
In this case, I have a bird poop on my head.
But shame is obviously based on a false belief that you could have avoided it or that you could fix it.
Well, I can fix it. If I have a handkerchief.
Yeah. And then you won't feel shame anymore. Yeah. So it is. There is still that element of taking responsibility that's involved in the shame. You say there's no responsibility in shame, but shame is about this happened to you, and that implies that there's some way that you could have had it not happen to you, which is not true.
No, but when it happened and we have an effect, then I can do something with it.
Mm.
I can ask somebody for help.
Mm. Lots of possibilities, yeah.
Yes. You know, I when I was going through a lot of things in my life that I was ashamed of, I found I think it was very unhelpful when people were telling me, no, 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 there is nothing wrong with you. No, you can't, you shouldn't think like that. You can't think like that.
You couldn't control that you thought like that.
No, it was so unuseful because it's just that they were afraid. They were afraid of that something is wrong with me. Because they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to help.
Okay, I sense something of that they were like your father.
No, it's not only about my mother. Is also
Yeah,
no,
but
no, no, nothing,
the
nothing
other
is wrong
people,
with you.
yeah. But there was that similarity in that they were telling you they were unable to be helpful. Yes.
I would rather say that I would rather that they would say, yes, there is something wrong with you, and it is okay.
Mm. That's much more real, isn't it? What they were saying was like an impossibility. It was a fantasy to try and change the situation, but it was
Yes,
powerless. It could not do it. Yeah.
and so they just didn't want to see the reality, and no, don't show us this reality. Don't even think.
Yep. And quite painfully, they're saying you're wrong. You can't trust what you feel, which changes your
Yes,
relationship with them straight away. Yeah.
you know, it's a very strange case of gaslighting, and it's with the best intentions.
Mm.
Oh,
I was just thinking,
okay. A lot of things come up, and it's not all about your meditation. It's maybe the meditation was just there was some trigger in it.
Yeah. I was just thinking, you know, I kind of feel the same as you. You know, I see so much of other people. I just want to say being stupid. Just I don't I don't feel superior, and but I know this can sound quite arrogant, but I just see so many people in the world suffering from unnecessary self-inflicted rubbish. And I, you know, I really can relate to you that people have good intentions and they want to help, but they just do stupid things, totally stupid things all the time, because they're just too wound up in whatever it is that's going on for themselves to actually be able to see you. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was this trigger in you know, when you are saying that it was not your guilt. You're not to blame. Yeah. And how do you know?
How do I know? I want to say because it's not possible any other way. It's not possible. How can it be? How can it be your guilt? I mean, guilt's a concept that's got to be learned. It's not possible that you were born with that gene. Did you? Is there such a thing as a guilt gene? It is a belief I have. I accept that it's a belief, but I can't see. There is not the slightest bit of acceptance that it could possibly, that any baby could be born feeling guilty. Nobody is born feeling guilty. Nobody is born actually being guilty, let alone feeling guilty. Now, original sin
But
is the
I
biggest
think
load of rubbish I've ever come across. in my opinion, in my humble opinion, no, in my arrogant opinion, it's the biggest load of rubbish.
If I may say something,
Certainly.
Being born in a predominantly Catholic culture, as I was, and I guess Bianca also, it's built into you. It's the fundament of everything, even if you're not religious.
Yeah. It's conditioning, though, isn't it? It's obviously conditioning because you're told about it and told about it and told about it from the moment you're born. You're told about it before you can understand it. You're told about it. Yeah. But your family wasn't religious, Bianca.
No, but I mean, I don't think it's only human thing. Social animals have a concept of fairness, of shame. I guess also guilt.
Well, I have to say I've seen dogs behave as if they're guilty. Whether you would call it, whether it's actual guilt or what, I don't know. But yeah, they certainly look like they can certainly look like they're guilty with those eyes, that hangdog expression that they get, you know, when they're told no, you know, whatever. Yeah. And of course, we can only imagine the way it is for animals, but I would say it's not a case of the animal believing it was intrinsic. And I'd say as a pup, it certainly didn't have those things unless it was taught that very early, but later on. But yeah.
Well, you know, an infant doesn't recognize colors.
Hmm. So
We are not born developed, fully
yes.
developed.
Okay. Oh, I say, so you're saying that guilt could be something that just shows up later on in the developmental stage. Yeah. Okay. I don't like it, but is it possible? I don't know. Maybe even research wouldn't be able to answer that question adequately. I don't know. Yeah, it's a possibility. So maybe the circumstances that I have given a causation to are simply a correlation. Maybe that those it takes certain circumstances to show up what's already there, possibly, or what could be let out of the bag, so to speak, that was already there. Hmm. It's a possibility. It does feel more like a possibility that if that is the case, still the idea of calling it guilt would be something that is put on it afterwards. So what would be experienced that we would describe as guilt wouldn't be. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just playing with that now. Hmm. Would that change anything if that was the case? It still would be not. There would still be no fault. There could still be no blame. So it wouldn't change anything from that perspective. Hmm. Well, that's something to contemplate.
Well, you know that for me there is also no guilt, no blame.
Hmm.
But I think about this person that really feels guilty.
Yeah.
How is it helpful for that person to come and say, no, you are not guilty.
Mm.
because I say so.
Right. Mm.
It doesn't matter what you feel. I say you're not guilty.
Mm. Mm. What comes to mind is I don't care whether you're guilty or not. I don't want you to feel like you're guilty. That's where the problems come from, feeling like it.
Why you don't want me to feel guilty?
Because that leads to a whole lot of suffering and a whole lot of behavior that's maladaptive. If you can live with your guilt and it's not an issue, then it's okay. But if you try and escape it, then you've got problems. If you try and divert from it, it still affects you. It still manipulates your behavior and your emotions. But if you say, let's say you,
it's but this was so this was so heavy in your emotional. Like I heard that you want to help so much, you want so much, but I don't feel guilt. How can I allow myself to be with guilt when you can stand it? Well, I'm transferring it because for me it's with shame. It's very hard for me. Shame. It's no, there were moments, but it was so awful that I'd rather die than feel this shame. And everyone around is also running away from this shame. No, don't say such things. Don't feel it. Don't think it. No.
So are you saying if you've got shame, if you feel shame, it's better to keep feeling it than to stop feeling it?
Sometimes I can't help it. You can't fix everything.
Yeah. Can't fix anything, but yeah. So is it, can anything be done? Do we need to do anything? Can anything be done? We can't fix it. Can we do anything about the reason why it's there?
I don't know what to do.
Hmm.
I want to pop in and give my 2 cents there, if that's all right.
Of course, it's all right. Yes.
I've dealt with a lot of shame in my life, like deep feeling of unworthiness. And what helped me deal with that was just mirror, like other people mirroring my qualities, my good qualities that I couldn't really see myself again and again until I finally saw that the image that I had of myself wasn't a correct image. And so I started to believe the image that, or how they saw me, rather than the broken image that I had in my own head.
This sounds a bit funny, this one, but I'm ask you, do you, Bianca, see that shame reflects some brokenness? Would you say there's something wrong with it?
No,
No. Simply because it's there. Because it's there, it's not wrong. Or why?
no.
No.
What is the belief behind the shame?
The belief behind the shame was that there is a domain in which I am strong. And when this belief was shattered, there was shame.
So the shame was about the new belief that you're not strong.
It was about crashing with reality.
Which kind of sounds like a belief that being strong is somehow the right way to be.
In one domain, there are many, I'm not physically strong. In socially, I'm not strong at all. But I don't care. Because I don't need it for survival.
So it's something that you have somehow created an identity around.
Yes. Yes.
And you see how by creating an identity, how that makes you vulnerable
To
to this
shame.
shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my own experience, it took a while to feel content with not being anyone or not being someone special.
Yeah, after all this shame went through, it was wonderfully freeing. To have this identity crushed.
Yes, I agree.
But I feel like going through this shame was a necessary part.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Bianca, can I ask you a question? Yesterday, or not yesterday, last week, when you were here at the meeting, like when I was watching you, it looked to me like you had just gone through a major shift of some type. Was I putting my own bubble on that, or is that true, do you think?
No, didn't register any major shift.
So it was
No.
me. I was putting that on there. Okay. I'm just curious because some of the things you were saying now, I just kept thinking. Anyway, all in my own head. Sorry. Thank you.
Can I come in? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. As you're talking, Bianca, I think I just had a realization that the flavor of shame I realize it's quite pervasive. It's actually kind of core to a lot of things, especially with the relationship with my family. As you're talking, I don't know what's guilt and what's shame, actually. I'm not quite sure, but as you're talking, it's getting a little clearer that some of the resistance I have to my family, like being with my family, is an underlying I feel like I'm still under the spotlight of stuff that happened before. I wonder, like, it occurred to me now that maybe it just doesn't actually, maybe that's not the case. Maybe that's just all playing out in my head. So for many years, the only way I could interact with my family was through drinking. And 3 years sober, I found it more and more difficult to actually interact with my family. Just connect with them, actually. And maybe that's the shame. Maybe that's because I just remember that they used to, especially when they've been drinking in social situations, they would quite openly talk about the things that I'd done as a teenager. I just felt such like my stomach I just feel sick. And so I would just drink more to join in and find it funny. And if I said anything, they would say, oh, get a sense of humor, it's just a joke. And I'm realizing now the kind of fallout from that. But I thought I'd kind of dealt with a lot of that stuff, but it just, as I'm imagining a conversation with my parents again, and just it's almost like I'm expecting that and getting defensive, expecting that kind of stuff. So it's like the shame just comes forwards first. And my ears pricked up when you talked about that shame moving through and that freedom. And then what you said, Vince, earlier about, because the meditation I do listen to quite a lot, I kind of get what Bianca's saying about, however she described it. For me, I wasn't really listening to that. I was listening to the story underneath of the child. And that really resonated with me. And when you talked about that is not the core purpose of that, I don't think I'd got before. The core purpose is that's not mine. That, you're not born with shame. You're not born with those feelings. So putting two and two together just now, so the sticky bit is when I'm interacting with family, I'm still imagining that they are talking about that shameful period. So I'm obviously in a mode of defensive, walls up. Just kind of a little bit of a circular for me over here. Yeah,
it's certainly huge that you recognize that it's in you, not, you're presuming, you're imagining, you're expecting that they're referring to that.
Yeah, very strongly, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
But here's an interesting one. Even if they are, what's it got to do with you?
Well, that's what I was just wondering. Like, I wonder what will happen when I have that conversation. I wonder if I don't know, it feels like a little bit looser. Like, so what? So what? Yeah.
Well, it's just turned midnight here, so I think we'll wind up. Funny, I always feel apologetic about that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Weekend.